I think AI is probably the most clearly impactful thing. The technologies out there that exist around recruiting, in many ways, they're a couple steps behind what sales has, and so sales has had a lot more focus of having a CRM built versus an ATS. And so I think it's pretty easy to kind of predict where some of those things are going, like seeing ATSs pick up features around CRMs that might not be there yet for most of them, or seeing employer branding tech start to chase similar things to what Marketo does. And so that's going to operate probably pretty linearly and predictably. The thing that's probably less predictable is how AI is going to impact recruiting. I think it's harder to say from a very specific and concrete, like this is going to be the next big AI tool that comes out. If I knew that, I'd be talking to Andreessen Horowitz and not to you right now. But I think seeing like agentic computing generally start to take over different places. It's always a massive pain to need to go through scheduling somebody. And I think if you can have an AI agent that can do that for you, and that's like not really high critical thinking, and I don't think it's anybody's favorite part of the job to need to go through and schedule a whole bunch of on-sites or interviews or something like that. And so I think seeing that break out from like, hey, I have ChatGPT that can maybe help write some stuff for me, to like, there is a specific scheduling agent that can do things for me, or there's a specific tool like that when you peel out these kind of micro verticals that are largely not high intelligence busy work, that's something that I think you'll see get peeled out into AI. It's the same thing I think that they should have been doing for the last 20 years. Everybody thinks and says that they have a data-driven and analytical recruiting process. And when working at recruiting tech companies and talking to end users a lot, I'd hear some variant of this conversation of me asking, what's your process? Them telling me their process. I ask, why do you do that? They say, because it works. And it starts to get hand wavy at that point. And I don't get a like, well, we're trying to move the needle on these KPIs. This is the experimentation process happening. Here's the confounding variables that we were thinking about. Like, there's even at much larger companies, I see just a lot of hand waving there. When recruiting was less paid attention to, or when it was paid attention to, it was kind of a little bit more in its infancy. You could potentially get away with that and kind of shoot from the hip and make it up as you go along. And some people still do get away with that. And you still see people do that in sales. But realistically, like, people need to get this shit together when it comes to like how this is going to look, and how you can have a data-defined process, especially in a way that doesn't slow you down. Doesn't mean that you spend a bunch of time in ops land without building something that actually gets the job done. I think the most pressing challenge is still one that's age old, but is only becoming more relevant, and that's assessing somebody for the skills required to do the job, and not assessing somebody for the skill that is interviewing. It's hard to do. It's hard to create a process that separates that out. It takes some experimentation. It requires creating multiple different personas of candidate. Like an extroverted person and an introverted person might be going through the same process for the same role that may or may not require any kind of social function or extroversion. And if you have a process that is optimizing for that not deliberately, then you're probably going to be having a bunch of false negatives spin out of people that might have been a good fit that aren't making it through the process, or you might see somebody that isn't actually the greatest fit make it through the process because they were that really personable and outgoing person that sold themselves really well. And so it's not something that I could give you a prescriptive answer for like, do this, that, and the other thing, and you will stop having a process that overtly biases for the skill that is interviewing. But companies that figure that out are going to do a much better job of getting the right talent in the right place, and not overlooking talent and not putting the wrong talent in just because they were good at interviewing.